The airplane trembled slightly as it pushed through thick white clouds, climbing higher into the morning sky. Seatbelt signs glowed overhead. Passengers adjusted themselves, some already asleep, some scrolling on their phones, others staring blankly out the small oval windows. In seat 34B, a man sat stiffly, hands folded together so tightly his knuckles had turned pale. His name was Rashid Ahmed. This was his first flight ever. Rashid was 42, a factory worker from a small town where planes were things you only saw crossing the sky like silent birds. He had learned just enough English to survive the numbers, greetings, and a few broken sentences picked up from co-workers and old YouTube videos watched late at night. He kept repeating one sentence in his head like a prayer. "Excuse me. I need water." Over and over. Because Rashid was terrified. Not of flying, but of speaking English. A man out of place. The passengers around him looked polished, confident. Businessmen in suits. Tourists with branded headphones. College students laughing easily in fluent English. Rashid tugged nervously at his faded blue shirt. His shoes were clean but worn. He felt every eye could see what he was: poor, uneducated, out of place. He was traveling because his daughter, Aisha, was hospitalized in another country. A rare heart condition. Doctors said time mattered. This flight wasn't a luxury. It was a lifeline. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed. "Ladies and gentlemen, our cabin crew will be coming around shortly with refreshments." Rashid's heart began pounding. Water. "I need water," he told himself. His mouth was dry. His throat burned. He waited. The flight attendant appeared a few rows ahead, tall, confident, wearing a crisp uniform and a warm smile. She moved smoothly down the aisle, speaking perfect English. "Tea or coffee, sir? Orange juice?" "Yes, of course." When she was only 3 rows away, Rashid felt sweat forming on his forehead. "Say it right. Say it right." She stopped beside him. "Yes, sir?" Rashid opened his mouth and froze. The words tangled in his throat. Water. Water please, how talk? English no good." A few nearby passengers turned. Someone smirked. Another whispered something and chuckled. Rashid's face burned with shame. Sorry," he stammered. "I want, drink, plain." The flight attendant hesitated, confused. "You want?" "Water," he said quickly. "Only water." She nodded politely, but her tone was rushed. "Okay." As she turned to leave, a man across the aisle laughed openly. "Bro, just say water. It's not that hard." A couple of people smiled awkwardly. Rashid lowered his head. He wished the floor would open and swallow him. Humiliation at 30,000 feet. The water came. The flight attendant placed it on his tray without meeting his eyes. Rashid whispered, "Thank you." She was already gone. He took a small sip, hands shaking. "I am nothing here," he thought. "Even my words betray me." Then, without warning, his chest tightened. Pain shot through him like a blade. He gasped. The glass slipped from his hand and spilled water onto his lap. Rashid clutched his chest, breathing fast. The man who had laughed earlier frowned. "Hey, you okay?" Rashid tried to answer. Pain, heart, help." His English broke apart completely. The flight attendant returned, irritated at first, until she saw his face. "Sir? Sir, are you okay?" Pain, chest, please." His vision blurred. Someone shouted, "Call for help." The cabin erupted in movement. Chaos in the cabin. "Is there a doctor on board?" the flight attendant announced. Rashid slumped back, clutching his chest. Passengers who had laughed minutes ago now looked terrified. A woman rushed from the back. A middle-aged man followed. "I'm a cardiologist," the woman said. They checked Rashid's pulse. His blood pressure. The doctor looked up sharply. He's having a panic-induced cardiac episode. Severe stress. The flight attendant's face went pale. I didn't realize. The doctor turned to her gently. Language fear can trigger extreme anxiety. Rashid's breathing was shallow. Tears streamed down his face, not just from pain, but from humiliation. He whispered weakly, "My daughter, hospital. I must go." The doctor squeezed his hand. "You will. You're safe." The captain announced a possible emergency diversion. The cabin went silent. Everyone was watching now. Kindness without language. The same flight attendant knelt beside Rashid. Her voice softened. "Sir, I'm sorry. I should have listened better." She held his hand. Slowly. Calmly. "No English," she said gently, pointing to her heart. "It's okay." Rashid looked at her, confused. She smiled and placed her hand over her chest, breathing slowly, encouraging him to follow. "Inhale. Exhale." The doctor nodded approvingly. Passengers leaned in, holding their breath. The man who had laughed earlier stood up. "Hey. I'm sorry too, man." Another passenger handed Rashid a tissue. Someone else translated a few words in his native language. The cabin, once cold and judgmental, had transformed. No one cared about accents anymore. Only about life. A turning point. After tense minutes, Rashid's breathing stabilized. The doctor smiled. "He's okay. No diversion needed." Applause broke out. Real applause. Rashid didn't understand why, but he felt something warm spread through his chest. Not pain. Hope. The flight attendant brought him a blanket. She stayed by his side longer than necessary. "You're brave," she said softly. "Flying. For family." Rashid managed a weak smile. "My daughter," he said slowly. "Heart sick." Her eyes filled with tears. "She's lucky," the attendant whispered. "To have you." Landing and legacy. When the plane landed, Rashid was helped off first. Passengers smiled at him. Some touched his shoulder. Some nodded respectfully. The man who had mocked him earlier shook his hand. "I won't forget this," he said quietly. Neither would Rashid. Weeks later, Rashid's daughter survived surgery. And Rashid? He began taking English classes, not to sound smart, but to tell his story. Because he learned something powerful in the sky that day. Kindness understands every language, even silence.